Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell because today we're diving deep into a Hollywood love story that's as inspiring as it is heartbreaking. Robert Urich and Heather Menzies were more than just stars. They were soulmates who faced triumphs and tragedies that would test anyone's strength. He was the action hero who starred in a record 15 TV shows. She was the Sound of Music star who saved a child's life on camera. Together, they built a life filled with love, fame, and family. But their story ended in a way that's almost too cruel to believe. Cancer tore their world apart, not once, but twice. And the eerie coincidences surrounding their deaths will leave you stunned. So grab a seat, stick around for this incredible story, and let's get started. Robert Urich was born on December 19, 1946, in Toronto, Ohio, a small-town kid with big dreams. He wasn't born into Hollywood glamour. He was a football player at Florida State University, tall, strong, and charismatic, with no industry connections. But what he did have was talent and a friend who believed in him. Burt Reynolds. Burt saw something special in Robert and pushed producer Aaron Spelling to give him a shot. That chance came in 1975 with SWAT, where Robert played Officer Jim Street, a tough cop with a heart of gold. The show was gritty, raw, and a little too violent for some. It got canceled in 1976 after just one season, but it put Robert's face in millions of homes across America. He was no longer just a guy with potential. He was a star in the making. His next big role came in 1978 with Vega, where he played Dan Tana, a slick private detective in Las Vegas, driving a red 1957 Ford Thunderbird through the neon-lit streets. That car, by the way, replaced a yellow Corvette that caught fire during the pilot episode. Talk about a dramatic start. Vega ran for 3 years until 1981 and became a cultural phenomenon. Robert's cool vibe, sharp suits, and that iconic Thunderbird made him a household name. He earned 2 Golden Globe nominations for the role, and for a while, he was the face of primetime drama. But Robert wasn't content to stay in one lane. Most actors get typecast, stuck playing the same character over and over. But Robert broke every mold. Over 3 decades, he starred in 15 different TV series, a record that still stands. He did comedy and soap as a bumbling tennis pro, espionage in Gavilan, and even a Western in The Lazarus Man in the mid-90s. From 1973 to 2001, he was on screen almost non-stop, taking risks and trying new things. He wasn't just coasting on fame. He wanted to prove he could do it all. One of his biggest hits was Spencer, for Hire, which ran from 1985 to 1988. Filmed on location in Boston, the show brought in an estimated $50 million to Massachusetts with its gritty, authentic feel. The winters were brutal, budgets were tight, but Robert made it work. His chemistry with co-star Avery Brooks, who played the mysterious Hawk, was electric. Spencer wasn't about car chases or explosions. It was about character, justice, and doing the right thing, even when it hurt. Fans loved it, and Robert later returned as Spencer in 4 made-for-TV movies, proving the character, and the man, had staying power. But just when people thought they had him figured out, he surprised them again. In 1988, he became the host of National Geographic Explorer, a show that bounced between TBS, CNBC, and MSNBC until 1995. His voice became the sound of wonder, narrating stories about deep-sea mysteries and ancient civilizations. He wasn't just reading a script, he meant it. That authenticity earned him a Cable Ace Award in 1993 and an Emmy in 1992 for narrating U-Boat, Terror on Our Shores. He also hosted On Assignment, winning another Cable Ace. These weren't just side gigs, they were serious, respected shows, and Robert proved he had the range to go from action hero to thoughtful documentarian. Then, in 2000, while battling a rare cancer, he made his Broadway debut as Billy Flynn in Chicago at the Shubert Theater. He'd already done the role on tour in cities like Detroit and Washington, D.C. But this was the big stage. Audiences were blown away, not just by his performance, but by the fact that he could sing. Really sing. Even with chemo draining him, he had a twinkle in his eye when he stepped on stage, as his wife later said. It was like he was born for it. Now, let's talk about Heather Menzies. Born on December 3, 1949, in Toronto to Scottish parents who fled the chaos of post-World War II Britain, her childhood was tough. Her father was a struggling artist chasing a fresh start, but the family was broke, moving from Vancouver to Miami to London to Southern California. By 14, Heather had lived in 4 cities across 2 countries, learning new accents, making friends fast, and adapting to new schools. It was exhausting, but it gave her grit, a quality Hollywood couldn't teach. At just 14, with no real acting experience, she walked into a casting call for The Sound of Music. Hundreds of girls auditioned with resumes, agents, and years of training. Heather had almost nothing, just one forgotten TV episode, but she had something else: authenticity. Her natural charm won over the casting directors, and she was cast as Louisa Von Trapp. When the film hit theaters on March 2, 1965, it was a global sensation. It won 5 Oscars, became the highest-grossing film of its time, earning $286 million and selling 283 million tickets. Heather was only 15, but suddenly she was famous worldwide. One moment during filming stood out. In the rowboat scene, the boat capsized, and her 5-year-old co-star, Kim Carruth, who played Gretel, couldn't swim. She went under twice, cameras were rolling, Julie Andrews fell the wrong way, crew members froze, but Heather didn't. She dove in and pulled Kim to safety, saving her life. The scene stayed in the movie, and what you see is real. Heather's heroism captured on film. But she didn't want to be stuck as the sweet Louisa forever. In 1973, she made a bold move, posing nude for Playboy in a spread called Tender Trap, a nod to her Sound of Music past. It shocked fans who still saw her as a child star, but Heather was clear. She was an adult now, ready to take control of her image. That same year, she starred in SSSSSSS, a bizarre horror film about a scientist turning people into snakes. It was low budget and full of real snakes, but Heather didn't flinch. Critics called her sweet and appealing, even in such an odd role. In 1977, she landed a major TV role as Jessica 6 in Logan's Run, a sci-fi series about a world where people were hunted at age 30. The show only lasted 14 episodes, but Heather's rebellious character and revealing costume made her a standout. CBS execs even panicked, saying she looked too risque for a kid's show, forcing costume changes with tights and pink briefs, but Heather stayed confident. Then, in 1978, she starred in Piranha, a cult horror hit produced by Roger Corman on a $700,000 budget. It made $16 million and even got praise from Steven Spielberg. Heather played Maggie McKeown, a gutsy skip tracer driving the action and holding her own alongside horror veterans. Robert and Heather's paths crossed in 1974 on the set of a Libby's canned hash commercial. It sounds silly, but playing a married couple for a day sparked something real. Robert was 28, fit, and charming, just catching fire in Hollywood. Heather was 25, freshly divorced from a brief marriage at 20, and trying to move beyond her child star image. The chemistry between them wasn't just acting, it was electric. They felt it even when the cameras stopped rolling. Within weeks, Robert told friends Heather was the one. Just over a year later, on November 21, 1975, they got married. It was fast, maybe even reckless, but everyone who knew them said it felt right. Both had been married before. Robert to his college sweetheart Barbara Rucker, and Heather to a man from her early 20s. But those marriages didn't last. This one was different. It wasn't a Hollywood fling. It was a love story that would endure for 27 years. They became a power couple. Heather with her Sound of Music legacy, Robert with his growing TV empire. By 1978, he was starring in Vega, and they were gracing magazine covers. Photographers loved them, not just because they looked good, but because of how they looked at each other. It wasn't a brand they were selling. They were genuinely in love. Robert went out of his way to include Heather in his world. She appeared in 3 episodes of Vega and later in Spencer. For Hire. It wasn't just about giving her roles, it was about sharing his success, their success, but their happiness wasn't without pain. In 1975, just after their wedding, Heather got pregnant. They were thrilled, but then she miscarried. The loss was devastating. Then it happened again and again. 3 miscarriages, one after another. Each one chipped away at their hope. Friends worried the emotional toll might break them, but Robert and Heather were stronger than that. They turned to adoption, a long and challenging process, but it brought them Ryan in 1978, Emily in 1980, and Allison in 1998. They spaced out the adoptions to give each child their full attention. Heather made a huge sacrifice, stepping back from acting after 1979, taking only small roles like guest spots on Vega, T.J. Hooker, and a film called Endangered Species. Hollywood didn't expect women to walk away like that, but Heather chose family over fame. Robert was just as devoted. Despite his crazy schedule starring in 15 shows over 30 years, he made time for his kids. He had a clause in his Spencer contract to fly cross-country for Emily's medical appointments. When Ryan misbehaved, he didn't yell. He sat on the floor, eye, to understand what was going on. Even in his final days, he played with his youngest, Allison, just 2 days before he passed. Their kids grew up to be remarkable. Ryan became a doctor specializing in infectious diseases, inspired by his inability to help his dad medically. Emily became a nurse, working in an Ontario ER. Both carried their parents' strength. Then came August 1996. Robert went for a routine checkup and got shattering news. He had synovial sarcoma, a rare, aggressive cancer in his groin. He was 49, in peak physical shape, and starring in The Lazarus Man. The diagnosis hit like a freight train. Chemo, radiation, and surgeries followed for 6 grueling months. He showed up at 5:45 a.m. for treatments that felt like pool chemicals burning through his veins. He lost his hair, struggled to breathe, and faced constant nausea. Radiation was even worse, with lead templates aiming millions of rads at the tumor, trying not to destroy healthy tissue. Shockingly, The Lazarus Man was canceled despite a promised second season. Castle Rock pulled the plug after 20 of 22 episodes aired, leaving 2 finished episodes unaired. It was a betrayal, but Robert kept fighting. In October 1997, surgeons went in to remove the tumor and found nothing. No cancer, no dead tissue. It was a miracle. Doctors gave him a 5% chance of relapse. He was declared cancer-free in 1998. He became the national spokesperson for the American Cancer Society, donated $125,000 from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire to cancer research, and launched the Urich Fund with Heather to support sarcoma studies. He went back to work, joining Love Boat, The Next Wave, and in 2000 fulfilled his dream of performing on Broadway in Chicago. Even with chemo, he lit up the stage. But in November 2001, the cancer returned. It was faster, stronger, and had spread everywhere. Doctors tried a new drug, but it was no use. Robert was finishing his final show, Emerald, and writing his memoir, An Extraordinary Life. On April 16, 2002, at 7:22 p.m., he took his last breath at Los Robles Regional Medical Center in California, surrounded by Heather, Ryan, Emily, and Allison. He was 55. Just days earlier, his final TV movie, Night of the Wolf, had aired. Heather was 52 when she became a widow after 27 years of marriage. Her grief was immense, but she didn't break. She turned her pain into purpose, expanding the Robert Urich Foundation to raise millions for sarcoma research. She said it gave her energy, like the priceless days she spent with Robert. She raised their kids alone, kept his legacy alive, and became a beacon of hope for cancer patients. For 15 years, she carried on. Then, in November 2017, exactly 15 years after Robert's death, Heather got devastating news. She had glioblastoma, a deadly brain cancer. It was a cruel twist after dedicating her life to fighting cancer. The disease came for her. It moved fast. Within 4 weeks, she was gone. On December 24, 2017, at exactly 7:22 p.m., the same time as Robert's death, she took her last breath at home in Frankfort, Ontario, surrounded by Ryan, Emily, and Allison. Ryan said she wasn't in pain. After weeks of fighting, she chose to let go with dignity. Just a year earlier, in 2016, the Sound of Music family had lost Charmian Carr, who played Liesl. Now Heather, the girl who sang So Long, Farewell, was gone too. Their deaths, exactly 15 years apart at the same time, down to the minute, felt like more than a coincidence. It was as if their love story was tied together even in death. Robert and Heather's legacy lives on through their children. Ryan, a doctor, Emily, a nurse, and Allison, their youngest. Their foundation continues to fund cancer research, and their story inspires millions. What's your takeaway from this incredible tale? Were you a fan of Robert's shows like Vega, Dawn, or Spencer? Or did you grow up watching Heather in The Sound of Music? Let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button if their story touched you, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories. Until next time, stay inspired and keep chasing your dreams.